Have you ever wondered what your children really need to know about your life? As we age, the instinct to share everything we've learned and experienced can become overwhelming. But here's the truth, not every secret is meant to be shared, and not every memory needs to be passed on. As we grow older, we gain the wisdom of knowing that some things are best kept to ourselves, not out of selfishness, but out of love and a desire to protect those we care most about. What if the most valuable gift you can give your children isn't your entire story, but the wisdom to know when to hold back the parts that might burden them? Let's dive into why some of the most important secrets should remain untold, and how that can strengthen your relationship with them for years to come. 1. The struggles you faced. Every person goes through difficult times. There are hardships in life, whether financial, emotional, or personal, that can define who we are. As parents, we often try to shield our children from these struggles. However, when you grow older, there may be moments where you feel compelled to tell them about your past difficulties. You may want them to understand the depths of your resilience, or to show them how you've overcome obstacles. But in reality, sharing your past struggles might be too much for them to bear. The truth is, children are still developing emotionally and mentally. They may not be equipped to process the intense emotions tied to your hardships. Instead of burdening them with these experiences, focus on teaching them how to approach challenges in a constructive and healthy way. Your struggles should remain a part of your story, but they don't need to become their story. 2. The mistakes you made. Every parent has their regrets. We've all made mistakes, some big, some small, that still weigh on our hearts. As you age, it's easy to feel the desire to confess these mistakes to your children, hoping they will learn from them. But, sometimes, it's better to keep those mistakes private. Why? Because sometimes our mistakes are too personal, or they involve others who have moved on and healed. Sharing your mistakes may unintentionally cause your children to view you differently, or it could create unnecessary guilt. While it's important to teach your children about accountability, some mistakes are best left unspoken, especially when they don't affect your relationship with them. 3. The financial struggles and worries. Money can be a stressful topic at any age. When you're young, it's about managing expenses and trying to save for the future. As you grow older, it often turns into worry over retirement funds, healthcare costs, and ensuring your children won't have to take care of you. These financial stresses can feel overwhelming, but it's wise not to burden your children with them. Your children may want to help, but they may not fully understand the complexities of financial matters or be in a position to offer any real assistance. Instead of worrying them with financial burdens, try to have a plan in place and approach these issues with your partner or a financial advisor. Keeping your financial struggles hidden can help maintain a sense of peace in your relationship with your children, allowing them to focus on their own lives without unnecessary worry. 4. The relationships you've had before. We all have relationships before we meet our life partners, friends, lovers, and even family members who may no longer be in our lives. These relationships form the basis of who we are today, but the past is often best left in the past. Sharing the details of old relationships with your children can create confusion, jealousy, or even lead to unnecessary tension. As children grow older and enter relationships of their own, they may ask questions about your past relationships. While it's essential to be honest, there's a balance to be found. You don't need to delve into every detail of your past to prove that you were once young and free. Instead, focus on the lessons you've learned from those relationships. 5. The illnesses you've dealt with. Aging often brings health problems, whether they are chronic conditions, surgeries, or simply the wear and tear on our bodies over time. While it's essential to keep your children informed about your health, sometimes you may want to keep certain medical struggles to yourself. For example, if you're dealing with a minor illness that you know will pass, there's no need to alarm your children by telling them every little detail. If it's something more serious, like a diagnosis of a chronic condition, it's important to have a conversation with them, but you don't have to share every detail right away. Sometimes, parents try to protect their children by keeping them in the dark about serious health issues, thinking they are doing them a favor. But it's always important to assess the situation and consider their emotional capacity to handle the information. 6. The doubts you have about yourself. As you grow older, it's natural to experience moments of doubt. You might question your decisions, wonder if you've done enough, or feel like you haven't lived up to your full potential. However, sharing these doubts with your children can cause them to feel insecure or anxious about their own futures. Your children need to see you as a source of strength and wisdom. If they constantly hear you doubting yourself, they might feel uncertain about their own abilities and decisions. It's not that you need to be perfect, but it's important to show your children that even in the face of uncertainty, it's okay to press forward with confidence and courage. It's about finding balance in vulnerability and strength. 7. The fears about aging. Aging comes with its own set of fears: fear of losing independence, fear of death, fear of being forgotten. These fears are natural, but they can be overwhelming. Instead of sharing these fears with your children, consider finding support elsewhere. You don't want to burden your children with the thought of losing you or your fear of what's to come. Instead, focus on enjoying the present moments with them and living your life with intention and purpose. Allow your children to experience the joy of your presence without the weight of your anxieties about the future. 8. Your thoughts on their choices. As your children grow older, they will inevitably make choices that may not align with your expectations. Whether it's career decisions, relationships, or lifestyle choices, it's tempting to voice your opinions about what they're doing wrong. However, as a parent, it's crucial to realize that your children have their own paths to follow. You may not always agree with their choices, but unless it's a matter of their well-being or safety, it's best to offer support instead of judgment. The more you try to impose your own beliefs, the more distant your relationship may become. Instead, give them the space to learn, grow, and make mistakes without carrying the weight of your judgment. 9. The worries about the future. Finally, there's the constant worry about the future. As you age, you can't help but think about what's to come for your children and their families. But these worries, while they come from a place of love, can be overwhelming and unnecessary to share. Your children have their own lives, their own struggles, and their own dreams. They don't need the added pressure of knowing how much you worry about their future. Instead, trust them to figure it out and be there to offer guidance when needed. Conclusion. As we journey through life, we accumulate not just experiences, but also a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Growing older brings a unique kind of wisdom, the kind that allows us to reflect on our past without necessarily feeling the need to revisit every detail. In this reflection, we begin to realize that some parts of our story are not meant to be shared with others, especially with our children. This is not a matter of secrecy for the sake of hiding the truth, but rather an act of protecting the ones we love from burdens they are not yet ready to bear. The very essence of being a parent involves knowing when to shield your children from certain truths. It's not about deceit, it's about discernment. There are moments in life when the best thing we can do for our children is to protect their innocence, preserve their peace, and allow them to grow without the weight of our struggles hanging over them. By keeping certain secrets, we give them the space they need to flourish without carrying the emotional baggage we may have accumulated over the years. Aging brings with it a natural tendency to want to impart all the lessons we've learned, but it's important to recognize that not every lesson needs to be shared immediately, or even ever. While it's tempting to share our past mistakes, fears, and regrets, sometimes the act of keeping these to ourselves is an expression of love. By not burdening our children with our failures or insecurities, we allow them to see us as strong, steady figures in their lives, figures they can look up to for guidance and support. Another crucial aspect of growing older is recognizing that the future is not entirely within our control. We can guide our children, offer them advice, and help them prepare for what's to come, but ultimately, they will have to forge their own paths. The decisions they make will shape their lives, just as the decisions we made shaped ours. And while it's natural for a parent to worry about their child's future, it's equally important to trust them to navigate their own journey. Worrying about what might happen is not something we should share, as it only adds to their stress and anxiety. There's a delicate balance between being a source of wisdom and being a source of anxiety. By keeping certain secrets, we protect our children from the weight of our fears and uncertainties. It allows them to live in the moment, to embrace the challenges and joys of life without being clouded by the worries we carry. It's a fine art, knowing what to share and what to keep to ourselves, and it requires a deep understanding of both ourselves and our children. Of course, this doesn't mean we should remain silent about everything. There are certain conversations that need to take place, conversations about health, boundaries, and the realities of life. But these conversations should be guided by love and intention, not fear or regret. The key is to approach these topics with the understanding that our children are not just recipients of our knowledge, but active participants in their own lives. They need the freedom to learn, to make mistakes, and to grow without constantly being reminded of the mistakes we made along the way. It's important to remember that by keeping some things to ourselves, we are also setting an example of resilience. We show our children that it's okay to face challenges quietly and with strength. Not everything needs to be broadcasted, and sometimes, the best way to show our children how to deal with life's obstacles is by handling them with grace and dignity. It's not about being perfect, but about being thoughtful and intentional in how we navigate life's complexities. As parents, our role is to guide, support, and love our children, but we must also recognize that they are their own individuals with their own experiences. By keeping certain things private, we allow them the space to form their own identities and perspectives. We give them the freedom to explore life on their terms, without the constant shadow of our past or our anxieties influencing their choices.